Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I am doing week 38 of my 2019 reads. This week I managed to finish one of the challenges from Space Opera September, which I will link my TBR for below. The challenge that I finished was to read a novella. So the novella that I finished was On a Red Station Drifting by Aliette Bodard, and this is set in her Shuya universe, which is sort of this futuristic sci-fi universe that is very influenced by traditional Vietnamese culture. So a lot of things about the importance of family and respecting elders, things that are very, culturally tied, like calligraphy and tea and all that sort of stuff, but very much set in a futuristic space empire. So this story is about a couple of characters who are kind of both very strong-willed women. One of them is an administrator from a planet that she has had to flee because there is sort of a civil war type of thing going on. And she comes to a station, and that station has some of her kind of distant relatives. But in this world where family ties are so important, that plays a big role, how important it is that she is distantly related to the people on the station. And the woman who's in charge of the station and she really don't get along. So this story ends up being sort of a mystery, which is interesting. I had read before The Tea Master and the Detective by Aliette de Bodard, and I'd really liked that kind of Sherlock Holmes retelling that she'd done in that. But it seems like this book as well is very much mystery-centric, and it read like that. So I think that in terms of the pacing, the novella was quite good. I also really liked the universe that it was set in. The complexities of that universe, the culture of that universe, very, very interesting. However, as the story goes further on, the characters, because they dislike each other so much, they end up doing some really kind of bad things. They end up becoming very dislikable. And there's also a redemption arc later on in the story that I didn't really buy into, and that sort of brought the book down for me. So whereas I had really enjoyed the setup of the book, I had really enjoyed maybe the beginnings of the mystery of the story, I had also just loved all of this culture and world building that Aliette de Bodard did, I got kind of put off by the bad behavior and just nastiness of some of these characters, and I did not buy into the redemption. Although I do wonder if part of that is a cultural difference. I wonder if the way that we see what actions is redeemable is based on sort of our cultural values. And so I wonder if that didn't work for me simply because I'm too Western. I'd be interested if anybody is Vietnamese or knows more about Vietnamese culture, if you felt like that redemption arc in this story made tons of sense for you, but for me, I just couldn't buy into it. So overall, I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I liked a lot of it, but I wouldn't reread this. I would still read other things that Aliette de Bodard writes, though. One of the really cool things that is not really about the story itself, but is about me reading the story at this time, is that I am also in the middle of reading a memory called Empire as a buddy read with Andreea from Infinite Text, who I will link below. And the similarities between these two stories in terms of the world is so strange. In both of them, there's kind of this enormous empire. In both of them, there is kind of this sense of belonging to this empire that is tied up in a lot of cultural things, where, for example, poetry plays a big part in both A Memory Called Empire and On a Red Station Drifting. Also, in both of these, there are memory implants in people's heads. So in both of them, they are able to access, as part of them, the memories of a previous person. In A Memory Called Empire, it's more like a job line. So it's like you access your predecessor's memories so that you have more skills. In On a Red Station Drifting, you access your ancestors' memories. And it's like that whole tie into family. But that was a really interesting thing. And then on both of these as well, there's a sense, there's an AI that controls the station in On a Red Station Drifting, and there's an AI that controls the city in A Memory Called Empire. And I was just so curious about how many coincidences there were between these two books. So I don't know if that's just that these are themes that are currently popular in sci-fi, or if that's just kind of a coincidence. But if anybody else has read both of these, I'd be interested in hearing what you have to think, and if you noticed all those similarities, or if I was just especially prone to noticing them because I'm reading both at the same time. So anyway, that wraps up week 38 for me. Hopefully I will make more progress both on the Space Opera September reading and on the Latinx reading. I've got a lot of books to read and only a little bit of time left, so we'll see.